So this reflective question says, how is the can-kid philosophy a real thing in my class? So right at the beginning of the year, before school even started, all of our learning facilitators put up the philosophy on the wall, our school mission statement, where kids can achieve anything. And this is something I really want the kids to be able to do. I want them to become, have self-belief, to believe in themselves and know that they can achieve anything they want. I think it is becoming more real to them all the time. Ways that I do this in my class. Right at the beginning of the year, I got the kids to talk about and put on a display, which you can see down below, why they think they're already a can kid. So you can see there, one of them says, I'm a can kid because I try my best. That is really true about that particular kid. And the other one says, I'm a can kid because I make mistakes and I try again. And that's something that I am really good at modelling. I quite often make mistakes, point them out, say, well, hey, what did I do wrong and how could we fix it? You know, there's always learning and mistakes too, and that's one of the things I've been reading about for my maths TAI about rich tasks. I've got a book all about building a maths mindset, and one of the things they said is that if you were to go home and say, hey, Mum and Dad, I got all of my maths questions right today, instead of saying, oh, well done, you've done really well, to get them to continue thinking and learning, you need to ask them, well, why isn't your teacher setting you something harder? Because it's from the mistakes that you learn the most. But anyway, getting back to the can-kid philosophy, also in the room I've got the can-kid pathways, these things, and as I've got year 3 or year 4, these are the things that kind of are a bit of a focus for my teaching. I've noticed for year 3s, one of the biggest things they come to me needing is to develop a sense of independence, not being so reliant on me solving their problems. I try and encourage them to become problem solvers and think for themselves and manage their own time and do all of those things that are also the key competencies and values that we have as a school anyway. So that's a big thing. And through using Shobi, the app, it's quite a good way to introduce them to being able to have a little bit of choice about what they do and when. And hopefully by the time they're year 4s, they'll be confident and capable and be able to manage themselves really well. My year 4s at the end of last year definitely had that. They were really good at managing themselves. I'm just looking at these pathways now. Definitely developing reading comprehension strategies is something I focus on a lot during my reading sessions. That's something that at year 3 and year 4 really needs to be taught well. I've had kids doing running records recently, and a couple of them could decode perfectly, but when I said, well, now tell me about what that story's about, they struggled to actually remember the key points. They're focusing so hard on decoding. And then the opposite, kids who were terrible decoders could tell me exactly what happened in the story. It's kind of baffling sometimes the way that happens. So comprehension is a major thing. I want my kids to believe in themselves. I want my kids to make mistakes and learn from them. And I want them to become confident in lots of different ways. I want them to be able to share their learning with their peers and groups and other people. I want them to be able to work with anybody, doesn't matter who it is, but just to be able to communicate and be put into different social situations and be able to cope just as well as they would anywhere else. So hopefully by the time they leave me at the end of year 4, they're pretty well rounded and they can go on to their lives in year 5 and 6 with an awesome grounding and foundation from before me even of self-belief, and they'll be problem solvers and they'll be critical thinkers and they'll be ready to rock and roll anyway. That's what happens in my class.